Hello, welcome to episode 4 of the Project Dragon devlog. Um, Today was just a planning day where I tried to break things down and get some overarching goals and set some things and then some to clarify them and then sorry, um, get some immediate goals, some short-term ones and make them as small as possible. But let's just get right into that. Um, the core idea of this game is that you play as this prince who's has escaped and is in possession of this dragon egg. Um, he's made this little camp in a forest clearing, and he's gonna eventually his plan is to hatch this egg so he can take back his kingdom. Um, I've always been a fan of like fantasy stuff. Um, so I know I want to have it with those aesthetics, but a lot of the stuff is just like placeholder. Like what exactly the Great Dragon Egg does. It doesn't need to be set in stone right now. Um, who exactly the enemy is doesn't need to be set in stone right now, but I know that I want it to be generally themed around dragons and medieval fantasies and stuff like that. But throughout the game, you'll build up this small camp um, from nothing to an expansive base to where you can build your farms and like hatch new dragons, and upgrade your gear and just prepare for, um, you know, the end of the game. Um, yeah, but overall, the this is just the basic idea of it. Um, so as far as the map's gonna go, as you also saw in the previous devlogs, it's made up of a bunch of hexagon tiles that gonna have huge, very simple ideas, but these are just some getting this structure written down is necessary to like make sure I um, have overarching goals that I'm trying to stay within. So even though that stuff may seem relatively obvious or like relatively basic, um, it's still important to just like write down. Um, the dragons, yeah. So this is also going to be kind of like it's a combination between like a farming and like a monster. What do they call those? Like what Pokemon is like. Can't gotta catch them all, Um, but like a monster breeder game, where you're making a bunch of dragons, but each of the dragons are gonna help you in your goals. And I'm wanting them to have like multiple different uses. You know, but I think the process of getting more dragons and integrating them into your base and your play, I think that should be pretty fun. And everyone loves a good farming and crafting, a little bit of farming, a little bit of crafting being added in games. It's kind of a combination of a lot of things. It's not necessarily like I wouldn't necessarily call it a farming simulator because it's really not, but it's kind of like in the way that like Satisfactory or like Factorio or like um, Minecraft or something like that, where like you do have to collect the resources, do stuff with them, but it's not necessarily a farming simulator, um, or like even a city builder, or it's got elements, but it's not what I want it to be functionally. So based on like those basic ideas of how the world is going to be laid out. Um, I broke it down into some like basic, you know, what does the opening of this game look like? And I figure that, you'll probably start with a cutscene, but, you know, immediately you're going to be like, oh, I should get something to defend myself. So you'll have a basic objective of just crafting an axe, and so you can collect the resources. Then you'll have to craft a shelter for the dragon egg. Um, and like those are like really cementing the idea of I gotta fight slash, like gather resources. The reason I chose the axe is like the structure of this game, like as like I want it, I want that to be like an iconic thing of the game is that he's an axe the whole way through the game. Maybe he'll have different weapons, but not just a sword, because you know, axes are more like more crafty, but also weapon. It's just not. They give a more like well-rounded idea of a character. Um, and the second thing is you have to protect this dragon egg. Like your job is to take care of this egg. Everything you're doing in the game is to make sure that this egg hatches and the dragon inside grows up properly because it's your only hope. Like you can only save your kingdom or whatever if you get this dragon online. So, you know, focusing that around, I think that's a good start to the game. And then, putting the core elements of like collecting resources from the environment. Um, I kind of and then again, this is also for myself of like not just like what the player's gonna do, but like what do I need to make? Um, so to do these things, so first I have to make a starting area. It's not going to be that randomly generated area you've all been seeing in the previous episodes. It's going to be like a set starting area. I know I want some form of like random generation. Maybe I won't, but I figure or at least it'll, you know, but it'll be, uh, well, we can talk about that later. But I know, well, I'm not even talking about it now. I know I want the map to have some sort of like randomness to it, such that every playthrough is unique. But, I don't think it needs to be super unique in the same way of like it doesn't need to be like I don't want it to necessarily be grindy. It is a bit grindy, but I don't know. And the way like Minecraft is unique, but like it's all the same at the same time, you know. Um, but anyway, so like I know that I need to make this starting area, and I have to make a couple different tile types, and I'll probably go into Blend. I need to go into Blender and make some assets for them, um, and then uh, I need to make some player actions to like interact with the world. Um, Something I need to add on here is probably placing items too, because I think to place down that shelter and the dragon egg, put it in it. But yeah, um, yeah. So not only will I need to create these parts functionally, these are like there's the assets I'll need. I'll have to make it Blender. I literally just started Blender this week, so I'm obviously not great at it, but hopefully by the time I get done with the core functionality of the game, and that a game that I can make a game by the time the game is fun to play, hopefully I'll made enough Blender assets such that I can start making good ones, I guess. Like if I make all the game and like shitty ones, by the time I get to the end of it, it'll I'll have enough skill to like because I'll have made 100 or 200 things, you know. I can probably start making something that looks decently nice. Um, and I don't. Again, this is this game is not going to get an award for art direction, obviously, because I'm just really not an artist. But you know, I think that there's a lot of art styles out there that are relatively minimalistic, um, but are still endearing. Um, I think that I think that if I have a focus on game feel and just like a satisfying loop, I think that's really where the game. I think that's more of the things that feel better for me. Like my strengths is really in game feel and like uh, that's where I think it could shine. Um, you know, I think I just have a way of looking at things from like a certain multiple or perspectives and seeing both sides, and so you know, it's hard to really explain. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I suck, and maybe I'm not good at anything, but who knows? No, I think this will be good. I think this will be good. Anyway, yeah, I also need to do a lot of UI elements. Something I'm not particularly looking forward to is menus. I don't find the I don't find the um, I believe they call it widgets in Unreal Engine. I don't find the widget element of that nearly as intuitive or um, enjoyable to just work with and within. Um, I don't find it nearly as enjoyable as the visual scripting language. I enjoy programming with the visual scripting language a lot more than I did like writing code whenever I did program in C++, but um, the visual scripting language is definitely very easy to use. The only hard part with, and then this more comes with the fact that it's an engine. It's just when you don't know how to do something, it can be pretty difficult to figure it out. And that maybe it's just because it's such a huge engine. I don't know. Maybe I should have done this in Godot or something, but I don't know. I liked Unreal when I used it, and I have used it for projects before, so it is what it is. Anyway, um, as far as YouTube goes, this is obviously my longest video by far, but as far as like YouTube and what I want it to be, the first thing I want it to be is a record of, everything that I've done each day that'll keep me motivated to get at least a little bit done every day. Um, the second part is, I would like a community of some kind of form on YouTube. It's actually already has been like a dream of mine to be a YouTuber. Um, I never had anything worth posting, so I never did. But now I think this is something that people would actually enjoy watching. Um, and this is obviously the very start of this YouTube channel, so you know, uh, know that like if you want like every like and every subscription, you know, like I really do notice every single one, and I'm surprised that anyone liked it at all. But I figured if there's that many people out there, it makes sense, and obviously I'll get better and make something um, more appealing. But of the let me know like what do y'all like about this? What do you want to see? Like um, if there's you know when there's only like six, there's not even six people. I think there's only three subscribers. Well, there's only three of y'all. Um, you know, your comment goes straight to the top. So if you want to know something, let me know. I'll do what I can to, make this more interactive. But yeah, thank you for everyone who watched. I will see y'all tomorrow.